Hello, this is Ben here today, and I'd like to go through a rather, I'm not going to say difficult, but rather fun geometry problem with you. And the problem involves using several geometry concepts to solve the problem. And it involves a picture, and that's what I love about geometry, is that it's very visual, and it's all about understanding how the visual picture relates to all the different concepts of geometry. So it's going to utilize concepts like there's 180 degrees in a triangle, there's 180 degrees on a straight line. If you have a triangle with two sides that are equal, it's known as an isosceles triangle, and your base angles are congruent, and other things. So the problem is up on the board here. Here it is. And we're asked to find x and y. And x is actually supposed to be this angle right here. I forgot to include that. And y is the longer segment on the bottom from R to U. So looking at the picture here, when I start solving a geometry problem, one of the things that I like to do first is to see what I can know and what I know and label it accordingly. So is there anything here that I can get from this and that I can label that would help me in solving this problem? So before I even begin thinking about x and y, what do I know? Well, we know these two sides are the same. We know this side is 12. We know that these three angles are the same. So let's start with that. Knowing that these three angles are the same, that tells me that since it's a triangle and they have to add to 180 degrees, each angle has to be 60, right? So we can label each of these angles as 60. And if you have a triangle with all the angles as 60, that has to be an equilateral triangle, okay? So that means that all three sides are the same. So that means that this side is 12 and that this side right here is also 12. So that's good to know. But then we know that these two sides are the same because it's labeled accordingly. So we know that this side is 12, okay? Now I can see we have a right triangle here, right? Because it's a right angle. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for the missing side. And that'll help me get y, because we know that's 12. So we can get that by using the Pythagorean theorem with that right triangle. So Pythagorean theorem is a squared, which is what we're solving for, plus b squared, which is 12 squared, is equal to c squared, which is 15 squared. And then you do the math, and you get a squared plus 144 equals 225. Subtract 144 from both sides, you get a squared equals 81. And then take the square root of both sides, you get that a is 9. So that makes that side 9, and now we can get y, because y is this whole segment, so it's 12 plus 9, which is 21. So y is 21. So we got the y. That's good to know. So I'll put that up here. Now we just have to get this x. All right, so how are we going to get the x? Well, if you take a look at the picture here, okay, we know that this triangle here, and x is one of the angles in that triangle, is in an isosceles triangle because we have two equal sides. And there's a property that says that the base angles, which would be that angle and that angle, of an isosceles triangle have to be congruent. Think about it, they're opposite a side that's the same length. So we know that these two angles are congruent. Okay, so that'll be x as well. And we can figure out this angle right here real easily. This straight line has to add up to 180 degrees. So this is 60, this is 90, so 90 plus 60 is 150, and whatever this is, it has to add up to 180, so that makes that having to be 30, because 90 plus 30 is 120, plus 60 is 180. And now we can focus on this triangle right here, and if that's 30, that means 180 minus 30 is 150, so we have 150 degrees left for these two angles to be, and they're the same. So 150 divided by 2 is 75, and 75. So x is equal to 75. So there you go, and that's how we solve a problem like that. So use the picture to your advantage, label what you can find, and then work accordingly from there.